So I was thinking starting on our back, hip, leg stuff. But if you like traditional yoga blanket, I would fold this into thirds to make a little bolster for my upper spine between my shoulders. With any other kind of blanket or towel, when I fold it 1, 2, 3, or fold it over twice, it's about the size of a rolled up yoga mat, except flatter. So you can fold or find cushions comparable, and you can play with the fold so it's the right height for you. And where I'm going to put this is right at the bra line, right between my shoulder blades, up. So my low spine is hanging free. Some bodies like to have it along the whole length of the spine. That's fine. And for today, I'm going to fold the top edge of the blanket under so I have a little extra pillow for my head. My chin can drop down. You're welcome to use an actual pillow. Or if the throat open shape feels right to you, that's fine. Just notice if it starts to feel tense, to put a little extra support there. So feeling into this and see if it's right for you, that you can kind of relax in the shape when we start to move into some leg work and arm work. If it makes more sense to you to just simply lie on the floor. Technically, lying on your back is a heart opening position, an unwinding the shoulders position. And once you feel settled in, you'll bend your knees so your feet are on the floor, maybe as wide as your yoga mat, but at least slightly wider than your hips, with your toes in, your heels out. And this is going to be a very meditative movement. Send your slow breath down into your free low back. And as you breathe out, let the right knee dip in towards the center line, maybe 1 inch. Tiny movement. Inhale, point your knee back to the ceiling. Feel both hips even on mat. Exhale, left knee tips in. Inhale, recenter. Continue dropping the knee in a minuscule amount on the exhale. And then feeling the balance of center as you breathe in. You can cultivate any breath rhythm that works for you, but imagine your breath is starting to soak into the hip. Maybe for the first couple of minutes, even more important than any movement is feeling center, arriving center, which depending on your anatomy might not feel balanced. Your right and left might feel really different, which can really get the mind spinning. So notice that. Come back to your breath. And watch as maybe one dip at a time, 5 or 8 dips down the road, things will start to feel quite different. Those of you just tuning in, this is our opening meditation. I've got a blanket folded into my upper back, between my upper back, like a tube. From the shoulder blades up through my head, supporting head, so my shoulders can open down towards the floor. But you might choose to lie on your back, that's fine. Our feet are on the floor, hips width. We're focusing on breathing in and breathing out, tipping one knee in to center, 1 inch. Breathing in to reset, thighs parallel. A meditation. cultivating feeling, watchfulness. And the ease that arises when we back off from driving or judging what we find. We'll keep this tiny, tiny movement going for about 1 more minute. Might feel almost like the head of the femur, the thigh bone, is starting to sink into the hip socket. More connection between the hip and the floor. Groundedness. Now, these last few moments might be extra, extra slow motion. Next time you exhale the right knee into center, maybe let it keep falling into the left. That might take more than one breath as you kind of let go of holding the hip. And then inhale to arrive back to center. We'll take about 4 to 6 movements on each side like that. You might choose less if you're going extra slow and mindfully. Trying to keep the standing leg as steady as possible. Really feeling for articulating all the tissues in the moving leg in an unwinding way. The next few movements will stay on our backs. If you feel comfortable on your bolster underneath upper back, you'll keep it. Some of you might want to ease off that and take your time resettling back to center. None of these exercises will be fast. Next time you complete your knee dip on the left side, finish with both knees resting into center against each other. Breathe breath into the back of the pelvis, broadening sacrum. Relax your arms down alongside your body, palms up, backs of hands on the floor. And it might feel right for you to keep the hands on the floor. Start to breathe the back bottom ribs towards the mat, the low back soft and heavy. And slide the backs of hands up the floor towards your shoulders, towards shoulder height. If it's right for you to keep moving your arms past your shoulders, then turn your thumbs down to the floor and keep raising arms overhead. And then when you hit the maximum of that moment, take a breath and exhale, slide down the way you came up at shoulder height, backs of hands back onto the floor and hand down to your hips. Totally fine if your hands don't want to stay on the floor, depending on what you're feeling in shoulders, especially if there's any pain. Do not tolerate shoulder pain. Lift hands off the earth. And like you're tracing a giant globe in front of you, floating the arms up, maybe rotating the thumbs towards earth. Maybe not going beyond shoulder height, that's fine. And then rewind. Take 3 more arm glides like that. Extra slow motion, extra fluid snow angels. When you finish this last round, if it feels right to finish with your arms in goalpost, elbows around shoulder height, bent to a T, palms turned up to the ceiling, you'll stay like that. That's not for everyone's shoulders. Slowly separate your knees and take a mindful motion. Turn the toes in, then the heels in, walking the feet towards each other, toes and heels, and toes and heels. And then reverse that. Turn the toes out, the heels out. Do that a couple times back and forth. Maybe the toes start to dance a little bit, articulate and crawl along. We'll finish with the feet together and then open the knees into a butterfly. Take a breath. Exhale, soften hips. Now very slowly pulsing. Inhale, knees in towards each other. A little bit like a thigh master. Imagine some resistance. And exhale, let the knees drop open or reverse the breath. Take 3 or 4 more pulses like that. If it's more right for your body to just stay in the shape, not open and close, that's fine. Or to come out of the shape altogether. You've been here a while. Whether you're breathing in or out into the butterfly, imagine your breath flushing through low belly, low back, and hip creases, lubricating. And then next time your knees come together, you'll roll off onto your left side. You can bring your blanket with you to use as a pillow for your head as you ease off. If you're okay staying in a fetal curve, knees in a little bit, head bow down a little bit, allowing the whole back body to unwind to open. If you're not okay with lying on your side, maybe your bottom shoulder feels too scrunched, then lie on your back in a neutral shape, maybe with a pillow underneath your head. Especially those of you guys who had the bolster underneath your back the whole time. There might be different temperatures and sensations running through your spine. Sometimes in a healing way, which can be a little bit alarming if you've ever experienced sometimes healing hurts. You'll recognize that vibration. And come back to your breath. Watch it pass. Okay, if you're okay with being on your side, start to straighten your left leg, your bottom leg out enough that your right knee ends up on the floor in front of it. And then turn your knee up to the ceiling so right foot's on the floor. If you're not okay with this shape, lie on your back for figure 4, crossing right ankle over the left thigh. So some of you will turn this into a twist. Right arm will unfurl as you roll onto your back, and maybe left hand is against the right thigh, nudging your knee forward. You can play with the position of your bottom knee, left knee. It might heel toe your right foot closer to your body, getting to maybe deeper places in the hip, or you might need a little more space. Bring the right arm back across the body, and then roll onto your back to the other side. Fetal curve on your right side. Take a moment to settle into the ground below. Or if you're on your back, figure 4, cross left ankle over right. Those of you lying on right side can start to walk the right foot out, straightening right leg enough that you can put left foot on the floor and turn left knee up to the ceiling like you're standing on the left foot. Right knee might hug right against the left foot to keep it stable, pinned, and maybe left arm opens into a twist. Maybe you play with massaging the left thigh open. And bring left arm back across the body into your fetal curve and crawl your way up to sitting. If you're okay sitting on the floor, of course, you can sit up on a bolster or blanket. But if you'd rather sit in a chair, that's fine. Cross-legged seat, if that's an option. Square pose. From your classical crossing the ankles, maybe walk the feet forward a bit and then heel toe the feet over towards the knees. So you're a little more crossed at the shins, just gets into a different area in the hips, squaring off. Let's bring left arm across your chest to the right shoulder and then the right arm on top. Breathe into the back low ribs. Feel them lift off low back. Exhale, release your neck, head down. An option to continue bowing into a type of forward fold. This is pretty much the reverse of the position you were if you are on your back with a towel between your shoulders. If you're coming pretty far into your forward fold, you might find that spreading the toes and pressing that pinky side of foot into floor, active feet, stabilizing. Little tuck of tailbone into earth. Especially if you want to find that abdominal support for low back. Pull the low belly in. And you might use that to pull your spine up from low spine up. Of course, you can unwind your arms and they can help. Release the arms. Twist to the right, left hand, right knee. You can massage right thigh open. Breathe the back of the spine tall. Exhale, soften shoulders down. Unwind the twist. Put your other shin in front. Right arm across the chest to left shoulder, left crosses on right, and bow. And you can do this in the chair with the upper body. Just be mindful of rooting down through your tail. Pull your belly in. Just enough engagement around the pelvis to root it. Breath still find its way into low back and hips. If you want to use your hands to help you up, let them go. Reach back through your tail and use your abdominals as well. Little twist to the left. Right hand, left knee. Maybe gently pressing knee down if that feels right to you. Very little effort in the arms in this twist. It's a real easy, small twist. Unwind. Straighten your legs out. Feet on the floor, knees bent. Now, this might look exactly like what we're doing on our back. Tiny little motions of the knees. Or some of you are ready for a bigger swish. I'll let you decide. Moving the knees side to side. If you are sitting up on a bolster or blanket and you're taking big movements, your hips will walk forward. Just notice that and then reset when you need to. Once you have a sense of freedom in the hips, in the low back, we'll settle with the knees dropping to the right. So if your hips walked forward, either put them back on your bolster or walk your shoulders forward right over your hips. Let's put left hand on the right knee and gently massage that down. Press your hips forward like you're flattening out the left hip, tucking your tail in, and look over the left shoulder. Nice, huge breath out into heart. Exhale, pull the left hip down like you're sitting on it to unwind you. Bring the left hand closer to left foot, take a breath. And then exhale, sweep left arm or reach it towards the right. And then go back and forth a couple times like this, moving the arm, any movement that feels like it frees up the shoulder joint, gets breath into chest and shoulder. And you'll feel yourself maybe rocking back and forth on your hip. Maybe in such a way you feel like the impetus for the movement comes from pressing left hip forward and pulling it back. Any breath rhythm that feels like it gets breath into all the moving parts. Now, if any of these meditations feel really beneficial, you don't have to stop. You can keep going. Some of you are ready to head into the still place. Next time you're reaching left arm across, bring the left hand down close to the right hand. So you're twisted over the right thigh. Press your hips forward. Inhale, lift your chest up. The left hand can be on the right knee again. This time, look over the right shoulder. Only if that feels like a sweet stretch to neck. If it feels like tension, we don't want more of that. Either stay here for 3 more breaths, or some of you will lower down onto your elbows. Get a little more snugly in the hip. Okay. And keep your neck relaxed. As you ease back up to hands, those of you guys came down, pull your left hip back to pull you back to center. We'll end up with knees to the left, but they might want to do a swish, swish side to side before you settle. And we'll start with right hand on left knee. Gently press the knee down and feel your heart seesaw up. And if it's right for you, look over the right shoulder. Press your right hip forward, tuck the tailbone into the body. And then pull the right hip back like you're sitting on it, right arm follows. Arm motion back and forth a few times in a way that feels freeing to your right shoulder. So depending on what's your body doing, maybe big sweeping, momentum-driven movement is right. Maybe slower, more meditative, close to the body movement. As long as you're not pushing through pain, there's no wrong way to do this. And of course, you might continue this meditation, or you'll finish with right hand close to left, so you're twisting over left thigh. This time, maybe looking over left shoulder. Press your hips forward. Breathe your rib cage up off your hips. Option to settle down onto your elbows or stay upright in the twist. Neck stays relaxed. If you're easing back onto your hands, feel the right hip pulling back to pull you out of the twist. You can straighten your legs out or do another swish, swish. Transition onto hands and knees. elbows and knees really. If being on your knees is not good for your body, you can come into any comfortable sitting position and do some shoulder rolls on your own. We're going into Dolphin Prelude and Dolphin Prep. So Dolphin Prelude, on your elbows and knees, wrap your hands around your upper arms so your elbows come right under the shoulder socket. That should keep them healthy. Even a little closer together with the elbows is best, as long as you're not working with injury and this exacerbates it. Clasp your hands in front of you. You might want to walk your knees back out to the side. Take your padding with you so you can rest head on earth. Little activation at your down dog, tail lengthening back. Option to reach knuckles to ceiling, or to turn the knuckles to ceiling without moving elbows apart, as you feel for softness in the upper back between shoulders. Option to put your elbows up on a bolster or blanket if you need less pressure moving into them, into shoulders. For some bodies, the chest gets so heavy that you start to bring nose or chin onto floor, compressing back of neck. If that feels right, massage-like to you, that's okay. For many of us, that feels way too compressive. So then reach back through your down dog, tail some more. Those of you sitting, if I can't see you, take 2 more shoulder rolls. Those of you in Dolphin Prelude, maybe you stay. Maybe this is a position is a revelation to you. Then you stay there. Or keep your gaze towards navel, head relaxed as you shift your weight forward, hands down, so head floats off earth. And Dolphin Prep. Press the earth away to lift out of the shoulders. Dangle your head between your arms, wrists flat, and relax. And then lean your down dog hips back if there's space to stretch back. If you're not on all fours or want to get off your knees, you can do Serratus Anterior Activator. Bend your elbows directly in front of shoulders, palms face your face. And then inhale, lengthen the back of the spine up. Keep the elbows shoulder height as you drop your chest down, softening. 2 more breaths, whichever shape you're in. Good. Dolphin variations. Find your way back either into an embryo pose, like a child's pose, hips on heels with hands by feet. Or if that's not a great pose for your body, we're heading up to standing next. So you might rest on your back or do some cat's cows or ease your way up to a standing position. Take about 4 more breaths in your resting position if you're resting. And then take 4 more breaths to transition up to standing mindfully. Those of you who are already standing can either go to your wall or find your chair or couch or table, whatever surface you can put your hands on for down dog on the wall. Of course, down dog on the floor is fine. If you're at a wall, I'm going to pantomime wall, you'll put your hands on the wall shoulder height right in front of you. And then walk your feet back, relax your head down between your arms. You might walk the hands down the wall to stretch your spine out like you would in down dog. Those of you using couch chair or anything else, put your hands or elbows on it and then walk back. So your hips end up right over your feet and you're lengthening your spine. So how far back that is, how low you go is totally up to you. And then you can use this shape to let the chest drop more than you would in down dog. But for a lot of our shoulders, that's not going to feel so great. So those of you guys who don't feel that, spin the elbow points in a little bit and pull the lowest ribs back up into the waist. So you feel for lengthening sides of spine without collapsing shoulders. Now, those of you who've been shoveling, use this pose any way that feels like a relief to you. All right, keep your neck relaxed as you walk your feet back in, especially if you're walking back to the wall. Take little steps and come up real slow with your chin tucked so you don't bump your head into the wall. All right. Find your way up to standing. You might need to bend your knees to come up to vertical. Find your blanket or towel that you're going to roll up for your calf lengthening, which the way it was folded under your shoulders might be just the right height. Generally, we roll up a towel or blanket until it's about the size and shape of a rolled up yoga mat, 4 to 6 inches in diameter. You might have one of those yoga ramps, those you guys who have props, or half cylinders, half domes. You can use that. That is what those are made for. All right, you're going to take it to your wall or whatever you're going to put your hand on for balance. I'm going to use my chair for balancing. So I'm actually going to put it a little ahead of my chair because we're going to double duty for chest opening option. Stand with right hip about an arm's distance away from the wall, a forearm or wider, so not too close. And then put your right foot on the roll. So I think my foot's blocked by words. My foot's on the roll, my heel's still on the floor. Step left foot right next to it. And if that's really too tense, you can either unroll your ramp so it's not so high, or just step the left foot back a little bit. Invite your hips back so there's a little more weight in the heels. For some of us, that feels like sticking butt out. It's very against my yoga training in some ways. Breathe the low back ribs back over your butt, and then ramp your chin back so the back of the skull lines up over the sacrum. If you would like more lengthening in right calf, step the left foot forward of the right. Bring your pelvis with you. If you would like to add the chest opening, reach the right arm back. I'm going to rest my hand, outstretched hand, right on the chair, elbow soft. If you're at a wall, you can put your hand anywhere on the wall. Our pecs are kind of like spokes, so anywhere in that circle might be the right stretch for you. Arms straight or bent is totally up to how it feels to your shoulder. And if you need more space, you feel really cranked, then step further away from the wall. Bring left hand to your chest. Soften the right shoulder blade down from your ear. If there's room for more stretch, then you start to turn your chest to the left. Maybe you relax your head towards left shoulder. Now feel for those tense tissues underneath your left hand. Start to run your breath underneath them. Or you might feel it down the right arm or behind the right shoulder. I'll get quiet so you can feel. Simultaneously feel for the pubic bone, tailbone dropping straight to earth, the back of the spine lengthening from that, the back of especially the right leg unwinding. Then bring the right arm back down. Step off your roll. And then either turn around or do what you got to do to set yourself on the other side. About a forearm's distance away from your wall. Left foot on the roll. Start with the right foot side by side so you can feel for easing the hips over your heels. Then breathing the low back ribs over your hips. Back of skull over your sacrum, back of pelvis. And then maybe right foot wants to step forward for more lengthening or step back to make it easier to relax into the lengthening. Option to add the chest opener, reaching left arm back, palm facing wall, lower, higher, elbow bent, arm straight. Completely different arm, might find a different position. Unless you're truly ambidextrous and use both sides exactly the same. Then I'm very curious about how that feels. Right hand on left side of chest. Option to turn your chest to the right, release head to right shoulder. Feel for dropping sacrum heavy, breathe the back ribs up. And then search out the areas of tension around shoulder or left calf with your breath. Release the right hand down. Release the left arm down. And step off your roll. We'll take another down dog on wall or chair. Optional to have both feet on the roll. If you want to do that, put the roll on the floor behind your heels. So here's the roll. Here's my imaginary wall, or you can use your real chair. And then look down, step your feet onto the roll. And you can play with shifting your weight forward or back, lifting your sit bones or tucking your tail. Down dog without the roll, totally fine. If you have a small roll that only fits 1 foot, take 2 more breaths on 1 foot and then just switch feet. All right, when you are ready to come up, look at the roll, just carefully step in front of it, stepping your feet off it, and then keep your neck released as you walk back up. All right, we'll stay at wall or chair or table or whatever you're putting your hands on. And if you don't have anything, put your hands, just reach your arms out in front of you like you're holding a big exercise ball. We're doing some Utkatasanas. Feet are hips width apart. Ideally, outside edges of feet parallel to the edges of your yoga mat without the knees knocking in. Make sure the thighs are separated, knees traction right over middle toes. Breathe the back ribs out. Exhale, sit back, leave your knees over your hips, pull your low belly in. I'm sorry, leave your knees over your ankles. Inhale to back ribs, stand up. Exhale, hug low abdominals in, sit back. One more like that. Inhale to low back ribs, stand up. Exhale, sit back, try to leave knees where they are. Pull your low belly in. Inhale to stand up. All right, take a moment to watch. Some of you will continue that exercise, maybe 5 to 8 more just like that on your own. But I'm going to give you some free playtime options for you guys to experiment. Maybe you want to step your feet wider if your knees are healthy and see if you can come down lower. Now remember, if you're not using something that's glued down, it will come down with me. So you can use it to help you pull back up, but mostly use your butt and your abs. You can also do this with feet together and try to sit back on your heels. Whoops. And try to keep your knees back. So those are options. Some of you, depending on your structure, ideally outside edges of feet parallel, but you might want to turn the toes out if you're protecting your knees, and that's your hip shape. If you want to stay in a squat for a few breaths, you can use your roll underneath your heels. And maybe that feels like support. So hopefully that's a lot to play with. And finally, there's this one too. Practicing sitting up and standing down. Trying to keep knees over ankles so you're using your butt to do the work. That's a very good life skill to have. So everyone has something to play with. And even if you're doing what we were doing before, very meditatively, this might be the most advanced option. Tiny movements, figuring out how to connect to glutes. Not use the low back. Not use your knees. That's a good life skill. 5 to 8 breaths, whatever you're playing with. Use this get breath, healing into your low back as you connect to the strength of the glutes and the thighs. Good. Take these last 2-3 breaths to finish up. And we'll make either in another down dog on wall chair, or of course down dog on the floor, fine, or pyramid. If pyramid sounds interesting to you, a hamstring stretch, start like you would set up your down dog on wall or chair. Then step the left foot back with your toes angled out about 45 degrees and walk your hands down. Feel as if you're shifting weight into the right foot as you draw the right hip back. So I know some of you can collapse into a forward fold, but notice if you stay up higher and feel for lengthening back through the tail, different parts of the hamstrings that you maybe sometimes bypass. Bend your right knee as much as you need so you're not creating any sharp sensations, especially around the buttocks or behind the knee. You can absolutely bend and straighten the right knee a few times if you want to feel for creating some elasticity in the hamstrings. And then bend the right knee. Breathe the back ribs out. Exhale, pull low belly into step left foot forward. And change sides. Step the right foot back 2 or 3 feet. And then reach your tail back as you walk down the wall, or you can keep the hands as high as you like. Maybe press into the ball of the left foot a little bit and feel for drawing the left sitting bone back if there's no pull sensation around that sitting bone. Good. And then bend the left knee, get grounded on your heel to step right foot forward, pull low belly in, and come on up to stand. All right, come facing side of mat or stand with your feet about 4 feet apart. We'll do a little pulse here. Turn the right toes out. Bend the right knee into warrior 2. Inhale, straighten your right leg. Turn the right toes in. Hug you, cross right arm over left. Turn left toes out. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, straighten leg. Turn left toes in. Cross left over right. Turn right toes out. Exhale, warrior 2. Go back and forth like that a few times. If you don't remember the choreography, you're just coming to center, crossing arms, and doing warrior 2 on the other side. Pivot on your heels if you can. Next time you complete the left side, come back to center, relax. All right, you might choose to do another round of that, and you can find your own rhythm. Maybe it feels right to stay on one side for a few breaths. Or side lunges. I was taught this on a chair, but you can put your foot on anything or do it like I just did in warrior 2. Right foot on chair. 5 to 8 gentle pulses. You might need to be near a wall to help you balance. Yes, you can use your couch or bed. I just wouldn't step on anything too squishy. So if I were to use my couch, I would stick my foot underneath the cushion onto the hard, firm part. I don't want to destabilize my knee. Put your right foot on a yoga block if you want something real low. All right. Once you finish your 5 to 8 breaths on this side, change sides. If you're playing with your dancing warrior variations, don't let me disturb you. And just in case you forgot, all this is about breathing. Come back to your breath rhythm. And when we complete this series, we'll calm back down to the floor sitting. So if you want to take any last down dogs on the wall. Or of course you can come onto your mat and do down dogs or cat's cows. Especially if your heartbeat picked up a little bit, you got a little heat. Come down gradually with yummy movements. No need to stop abruptly. We'll sit once again in square pose. Right shin crossed in front of left. Side bend, reach your fingertips out to the sides. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, lean to your left. Left palm on the ground, left elbow bends in towards you. Right hand hovers a few inches off the earth. Release your head, neck to the left. Breathe the back ribs up off the low back. And keep the whole rib cage lifted as you root your pubic bone down. Look down at your left hand. Bring the right hand over to the left. For some of you, you'll want to come back to upright to twist, or some of you will stay low and bow, maybe even lowering elbows onto blocks or thigh or ground. If your right elbow is against your left thigh, you can use it. Gently press into thigh to keep opening the right hip. And it's up to you. It's fine if right hip comes off the floor. You can feel what it feels like to either press it back down or to leave it floating. To draw it back instead of down. All right, lift up just enough to walk your hands out over both legs and fold. If these seated variations don't work for you, lie on your back for another round of figure fours. Same exact stretch. Yeah, you can stack your shins if you want to come into deeper stretch. Keep your neck released, reach back through your tail and use your low abdominals to pull your spine up. Change the cross of your legs, left in front of right. Or stack left on the right. First, neck release. Walk right fingers out to the side, plant right palm down, reach left hand to the left, and release your head, neck away from it. When I say release, it can look like some people can hang their head, but that's not right for everyone. If I hang my head, sometimes it feels like it's just tightening up. So just back off to the place where you can feel a sense of the tension, neck, jaw, shoulder, unwinding. And gaze towards the right hand, your twisted forward fold, or you can turn upright into a twist. And forward fold. Walk your hands forward to bow. And forward folds can always simply be releasing the head neck. In fact, cultivating that level of awareness can be pretty advanced, noticing if you release the neck, where else do you feel that in the body? Or you can put your hands on ground or blocks. And ease your way up, root back through the tail, head comes up last. Then you'll find your way down into relaxation. And another nice thing about being at home, if you want to use this time for final stretches, movements, now that you're very aware of your body, you won't be disturbing anyone else. Just make sure you get some time in stillness sometime after this, whether it's a meditation or a shavasana. Options, if you want to continue the heart opening in your shavasana, maybe this time you turn your folded blanket sideways, either right under shoulders or right south of the shoulders. You can still have a pillow under head and a bolster under knees. In fact, my couch is handy, so I would probably put my legs up. Or if you've had enough of the heart opening, chest opening, stretch of the chest and shoulders, maybe you do the opposite. Get some height underneath the head. And then rest your hands on your hips or even prop blankets, pillows underneath your elbows. So you're in a very cradled shape. It was a long journey for me befriending Shavasana, so I'm always full of ideas to how to make this a let go pose. Make it yummy and squishy for you. And another lovely thing about already being home. Maybe you choose to stay. Continue your practice of let go. If you're ready to resurface, start by taking a big breath in. Fill up your chest and your belly. And sigh it out your mouth. Move your fingers and your toes. Open and close your hands. Roll your ankles. Move your bottom jaw around. If it feels right to reach the arms up overhead and take a full body stretch. If you're propped, you'll simply roll off onto your side to roll off your props. And everyone will roll onto your side or roll on up to sitting in a way that maintains your ease. Those of us who are sitting will meet with our palms pressed together, the thumbs against your sternum. Lift your heart. Feel its beat. May we benefit from our practice. And may our practice heal not only us, but may it ripple out to all beings everywhere. Namaste.